Today, I'm excited to share with you one of my new favorite card sleeve brands. I'm going to tell you where it succeeds, how they could improve in the future, and how best to use this new card sleeve brand. These are Kraken skins. They are a new sleeve to the market this year, and they are produced by Kraken Dice Incorporated, a dice company that's fairly popular in the D&D and LGS space. They are a matte sleeve that comes in a pack of 100. They have a variety of different colors, and I picked these up locally for $12 at my local game store, not too far from here. Before we, of course, dive into the different metrics that I use to judge my own sleeves, I do want to show you the backing because this is really important to understand how these card sleeves feel and how they compare to something you might already know. It is a textured stucco style backing. You could maybe describe it as orange peel. It feels a little bit more raised and more textured than something like a dual matte. I have a dual matte here. You can see the difference as I shine the light on it. This is the dual matte, and you can see the texture is a little bit less raised, a little bit less, it's more compressed. Whereas this one is a little bit more raised. You can see it has a little bit more of that texture across the board. You can feel the difference, and I would maybe describe this as rougher, but it doesn't feel rougher when you rub two of the same sleeve together. It really moves rather well, but it has a bit of a stronger feel on the back to the touch. So we're going to compare these sleeves on the 5 metrics that spell the word focus, and the first one is, of course, fit. So as far as fit is concerned, I grabbed ourselves a beautiful little tip the barkeep. We're going to put this into our brand new Kraken skin, if it will. And comparing this fit to something that you might already use, something like a Dragon Shield, you're going to notice that it's very similar left to right, but you're going to notice about a millimeter difference on top. And we can compare this because I'll take that same dual matte from before and I will stack them up against each other. And you may not notice right away, but you notice to the feel. This is 1 millimeter or so shorter. And if we flip it over, you can definitely see it as I wipe that speck of dust off. You can see the red. If I square this up, you can see the red sticking out on the top there. Now, what does this difference do? Well, first of all, I actually think it frames the card better. It looks more evenly framed top to bottom and left to right than something like a Dragon Shield. Now, do keep in mind this Dragon Shield is two-sleeved. I have double-sleeved this, so it does look a little bit different. If I were to just single-sleeve this with, I don't know, let's just grab another, this one's already single-sleeved. Another tip the barkeep. This is the dual matte, same dual matte we're looking at. You can see it's a lot larger on the top compared to up here. So do you like that? Well, there's a benefit to having an extra millimeter or so up here. If you hold these sleeves on top and bottom, or if you're shuffling in a specific way, that compression does not apply to the card itself. Whereas you may get a little bit of pressure applied to the card, but for me, I've never really had an issue with that. Minus the millimeter, I very much like this. In fact, I will say this, I like this fit better than I do a Dragon Shield sleeve. And that's high praise because Dragon Shield is my sleeve of choice. So this is already off to a good start. So based on the metric of fit, I put both Dragon Shields and just about every Dragon Shield in the buy these tier. It's the only knock I have on Dragon Shield is that 1 extra millimeter, and because Kraken skins don't have that and they have that perfect framing, they, in my opinion, are how I want a sleeve to fit. Next on the focus rubric is opacity, and opacity is essentially how opaque the back is. This is a colored back, but can you see the back of the card through the sleeve? If you can see it, then that's a danger bringing these sleeves to some sort of an event, because you could get flagged by a judge for being able to see your card. And as we see here, we can't really see anything through that. You compare this to something like the industry standard, again, which is this dual matte. You're never going to see anything through the back of a dual matte because it's designed with this back in place. You've got 2 different colors. There's no way light's getting through this, even if we hold at an angle like this. Now, you can see holding at the angle with the light coming down this direction, you're not seeing anything. It's totally opaque. The opacity is great. The only time I'm able to see any of this card is if I hold at just the right angle, and I've only managed to really do it a couple of times. I'll see if I can get it on screen here, but I have, maybe if I like really fiddle with the card here as well and kind of open it, I have gotten it to maybe see the hint of the edge of the back of the card once, but as for me, I think that this passes with flying colors. Opacity is another check on the old box here. So on the metric of opacity, if you're looking for a purely opaque card back, it hits right in that spot. I've gotten it to really show exactly once, and I didn't even get it to show on camera, but you really can't see through the back of it. I think it is a solid pick. I'm putting it in the buy these tier. Next up, we have clarity, and clarity just means how clear the front plastic is. Does it occlude some of what we see? Does it diminish from the beauty of the card that we have and the foiling that we have? And clarity on this card is fantastic. On this sleeve, it is pretty solid. And if we compare that again to a Dragon Shield, I use Dragon Shield because so many of you also use Dragon Shields, just like me. But if we compare both of those, you can see these cards are pretty much identical. I can't really see any difference on the fronts of these cards. I think overall clarity, these cards are acting basically the same as they would in either sleeve. So if you're worried about seeing your rainbow foiling or seeing your cold foiling as we have here on this card, you don't need to worry with these Krakens, just like you don't need to worry with Dragon Shield. As for the metric of clarity, I think these are as clear as you could possibly get. I think most card sleeves are going to hit this metric as well. This, if you're looking for clarity, it hits top marks for it. Next up is uniformity. And what do I mean by uniformity? Well, I have an entire deck sleeved up here. And when I say uniformity, I mean this deck and every sleeve in it should have the same corners, should have the same cut. There should be no nicked corners when you bring them out. They should all be factory perfect. And this is my Blaze deck. I have been playing in these sleeves for many months at this point. I've left them in these sleeves. I've shuffled this deck, for those that don't know, hundreds of times. I am a big fan of Blaze, a big fan of this deck, and well, as you can see, if we're looking here, there's really no issues. In fact, if I can just wipe the dust off, which I do manage to get a lot of little flecks and things like that. I guess that's the danger of having dogs. But if I wipe that off, you can see the edges are pretty much clear. You're not getting any of those like factory marks that run across the way here. Overall, all the corners are pretty much perfect. I've never had an issue opening these boxes, and I have a fair few of these boxes. Don't have an issue with them at all. The uniformity overall is exactly where you'd want it to be. As for the uniformity metric, I never had any issues with all of the boxes that I have of this card sleeve, and I've been changing them out, I've been swapping them out, I've been trying different colors and all of that sort of stuff. They hit right at the top for me. They don't even have the factory lines on the sides. They're that clean. They are that good out of the box. And finally, and this one is perhaps the most important, we have the S, which is shuffle feel. How do these sleeves shuffle? That is, in many ways and in many cases, the most important metric for a lot of people. And I will say this, when you first bust these things out and sleeve up a deck in them, they shuffle very slick. They are pretty slippery at first, and I actually like that. They remind me of like early Game Genic sleeves, and sometimes even like early dual mats, like these dual mats, which are the Fury dual mats, feel the same way. After 40 or 50 shuffles, and of course leaving them sitting out, they start to do the same thing that like katanas or dragon shields do, where they to some degree break in and almost gum up, but not in a negative way. And as you can see, these are shuffling comfortably. We're not getting a lot of popping. We're not getting a lot of like corner clipping. They fit rather well together. I'll see if I can get it even better on the camera so that you can wonder for yourself. And they shuffle rather well. I will say that I think that they gum up just a pinch more and like tighten up just a little bit more than Dragon Shields do, like a Dragon Shield dual mat does. In fact, I have some of those. I have a deck right here, which a mini deck, if you will, of these Dragon Shield Fury dual mats. These are the one of my favorite sleeves ever. I think this is probably my favorite sleeve ever. And just these like small packet of 20, these still shuffle like a dream. I will say that dual mats probably just shuffle better and might just shuffle better than anything on the market, but I'm very happy with how these feel overall. If anything, I would put just a little bit of a knock on the shuffle feel, just because it does tend after 100, 200 shuffles to get a little bit slower, but I've talked to people that actually prefer that to be snug so they don't slip around and, you know, are very slippery. As you can see, these things are not really giving me any issues whatsoever, pushing them through, letting them fall. They kind of go where they need to, and they're not popping out or falling over. If shuffle feel is your paramount issue when you want card sleeves, these are pretty solid all around. And finally, for shuffle feel, this is where I feel the Kraken skins can most improve going forward. I like the textured back that they use, and I think their shuffle feel is either in that solid all-around tier or in the buy these tier. To me, this is a fine place for it to be, and I think that's a great place to continue to try and improve. Keep the textured back and keep that shuffle feel as beautiful and silky smooth as you can get it. Other things you might want to know, these already come in a variety of colors. You've got yellow, you've got turquoise, you've got white, a lot of white fans out there for just that clean look. You've got a beautiful silver, actually, I really like their silver color. A purple as well. You have the blue that you saw earlier. We have a really cool emerald green color. You've got gold, which I actually use in binders to show off those gold foil cards, those really beautiful tip the bar keeps that I showed off earlier. There's a clear, which is fine. I'm not a huge fan of clear myself, as well as the reds, which you saw me shuffling just a moment ago. So what are the pros to this Kraken skin? Well, you're getting pretty much the top marks on every metric that we measure on here. You're getting good shuffle feel overall. It's a very clear sleeve. It's a very beautiful fit. In fact, I would say that's the biggest pro is the fit itself, because here's a double sleeved card and it literally just looks so perfect. It looks perfectly framed. It feels good to look at. You don't have to worry about the extra lip on top. And then of course it hits on all of those other metrics as well. As for cons, it does take a tiny hit on the shuffle feel, as you saw earlier. Maybe if you're not the biggest fan of it being a stiffer shuffle feel and sort of slotting in between. Another possible con is that they only come in these types of colors. There are no art sleeves, and I am a big art sleeve fan because you'll never know if the card is supposed to be faced this way or this way at first glance, like which one of these is technically face up. And then of course, finally, if you're not as much of a fan of this slightly more raised texture, that would be something you would want to keep in mind as well. But overall, this is a fantastic option if you're looking for something a little bit different from the Dragon Shield sleeve, or maybe you can't get your hands on the katanas anymore because they're, you know, few and far between and sold out everywhere and not being produced to the level that some people want them. This is a fantastic alternative with some great color options, and it looks fantastic in a binder because of the way that these cards frame so nicely and that -millimeter off the top. So accounting for all of the metrics, where do I place it? I have those Dragon Shield dual mats at the top in best in class. I am fine with the non-glare sleeves. I think they are solid. I love these Kraken skins. They are one of my top 3 brands now, and it's something you should certainly consider looking into. So those are the Kraken skins, and I will tell you, these are now in my top 3 sleeves of all time. Out of all the brands that I've tried, and I've tried a lot of them, this is definitely in the top 3. If you're looking for a new sleeve to try out, this is one to keep your eye on. If you have another sleeve idea, or if you want to hear more about card sleeves and which ones you should pick up, of course, leave that comment down below and make the number go to the other number. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.